안녕하세요. JustCo 완로입니다. JustCo is the biggest co-working provider in Southeast Asia currently. So we have about 30 locations across Asia. Most recently, we have opened our centers in Australia, both Sydney and Melbourne, South Korea in Seoul, Taiwan, Japan, and Hong Kong. So our vision is actually having 100 locations by the end of 2020. As of today, we have about 17,000 members in 30 branches, 6 countries.
Six countries. 6 countries so far, and Korea is 6th.
The fifth. Yeah.
Country.
So a lot of time when we do co-working, a lot of decisions that we made, be it having more facilities, be it the countries that we go to, come from the data that we have from our pool of community members. So which means that today in Singapore, we have about 16 locations. And those 16 locations have a lot of people that give us a lot of feedbacks. For instance, we have a lot of startup in Singapore, which comes from Korea. A lot of mid-sized companies that have their satellite office in Singapore. So a lot of feedback are gathered that there is a lot of demand that back in South Korea, in Seoul. So we want to build a type of scale so that people from Singapore can actually go back to Korea and use the facility if we have a JustCo here. And of course, in recent times, the government in South Korea also encouraged a lot of startups, a lot of people to grow their own business. So that's when that we thought that South Korea is a very good opportunity for us to come in. And plus, a lot of our competitors like WeWork, Fast Buy, they are already here. That means that there is a lot of demand and co-working this concept is pretty much very welcome in this area. Okay, so we started JustCo in 2011. Back then, when you talk about co-working, right, the first instinct is, co-working, it's more westernized. Co-working is more popular in area like Europe or maybe in US. So which means that there is this demand in another part of the world. And we thought that, why not do it in Asia? And that's when we thought that, in Singapore is such a metropolitan city, which we started JustCo, and that would be a very good opportunity for us to go right into it. And that's when we started the first one, second one, and of course to the 30th one today. It's a very interesting question because we are all so close together, and people always think that, the closer you get, the more sensitive it's going to get because, one side is my brother, the other side is my sister-in-law,
yes.
Right? Okay, but the good thing and the great thing is, we have a lot of chemistry.
Yes.
My brother, Wan Sing, who is the CEO of JustCo, is actually take charge of the BD, so the vision, and he sets all the overall direction of the company, which means that he do a lot of BD side of JustCo. For Lu, she is actually very hands-on in the JustCo as well. She manage all the operational side, and for me, actually, I take care of all the revenue. So the good thing is, we don't step on each other, and we have faith and we have a lot of trust in each other to make sure that the business growth are there. I think the most tough part, first of all, is to make sure that, first of all, I think in recent times, getting money from investors, I think is one of the hottest topic in startup industry or maybe mid-sized company. They always think about getting money, but I think that's great because that actually promotes a lot of good ideas within all the startup community to promote to these investors. One thing that I would like to point out, and one of the toughest part when we negotiate or even talk to the investors, are the sustainability of the business model and the profitability. which actually is the long-term success of a company. If you were to look back, JustCo was born in 2011,
Yes.
and we took about a couple years before we get our first round, a true first round, because we at the start we have our angel investors, or maybe from friends and family background, we have some investors. But the true first round only a couple years later. And the reason we managed to convince round after round investor is first, and I think the most important thing is the profitability and the long-term sustainability of the business, which we have proven
Yes.
over the years. So my take on it is to make sure that we continue to have this type of success, to show that our current investors and of course our future investors. To me, JustCo, a lot of people look at it as a real estate business. For me, a small part is a real estate business, but a big part of it is actually a people business. After we become really stable in Singapore, with about 7 to 8 centers in Singapore, we start to venture our first center in China,
In Shanghai.
Shanghai. So we have 2 centers in Shanghai. And then the next one will be Bangkok, Indonesia, South Korea, Australia, and then of course the most recent one is Taiwan, which is going to happen in the next couple of months.
Taipei, is it?
Taipei.
Taipei.
Yeah. So if I were to answer you, the main challenge that I always foresee is, first is to find the right people to help you in the business locally.
Your partners, local partners.
Exactly, local partners, and from the local partners we can get some synergy. If they are from a real estate company, we get access to all the buildings, right? That is our core. And secondly is the local people that can help us to run the business. A lot of time, as much as I would like to run in a foreign company, but I do not have the knowledge of the local people. So that's very important. What we're trying to achieve is to build a local community and not just do a plug and play business model. A plug and play business model can help you to grow very fast. Maybe if you want to grow 50 centers in 2 years' time, it's easy if you just want to do a plug and play recipe. But to understand a local business, you need a lot of local knowledge. And local knowledge, you can only get those by having good people to work for you, and secondly, through time. Then you get to know more of the business. So that probably is the most important recipe in any business model, especially in a co-working industry. I think the strength of JustCo is actually learning as much the local flavor as possible, which means that learning as much on what the local people want in a co-working setup, a co-working platform. For instance, when I started my Korean business, a Korean JustCo, the first thing they were saying that, when I was doing my pantry, they say, I need a ice cube box. I was like, what? Why would you need an ice cube box? They say, that's Korean culture. They drink coffee with ice. They need an iced coffee. So I was saying, that don't happen in Thailand or Singapore. We drink latte hot, neat, or things like that. So when we come to Korea, they say this is a must. And I was like, okay, then let's do it. If this is what the local people want, we'll do it. And in Korea, we actually thought of doing beer and other things that maybe we can encourage the people to use beer, to mingle around, But I realized what matters to the local in Korean is a true cup of good coffee. And some of the other things that I have witnessed is the privacy. A lot of people, when we talk about co-working, is the openness, things like that, and the suites within the co-working space lacks privacy because it's just a glass door and people can see right through what you're doing. And I understand Korean is actually still in the middle of a traditional and modern stage. So as much as they embrace the co-working setup, they still want to have a little bit of a privacy. We embrace that. So a lot of times we say, if you need a frosting, we'll do it a frosting for you guys. So these are some of the strengths that I thought that we managed to conquer when we come to a new country, to make sure that we don't just do a plug and play. We actually spend time to understand the local people. In Korea, in 2018, we already have 4 centers.
Yeah, this year.
This year,
Yeah.
2 in CBD area, 1 in fact 2 in Gangnam, 2 in CBD area. Okay, so we see that Seoul is a major city that we want to make sure that we dominate. So my plan for Seoul is actually to have 10 centers by the end of 2020. Personally, I think to make sure that this business model works, right, is the stickiness of the community. So it comes back to your question here, network. Before we can provide the network to these people, we need to truly understand what they really need. A lot of times I say, Byron, I can provide you this advisor, I can provide you that advisor, but you know what? Do that advisor truly serve the purpose or not? So before doing that, I need to make sure that I have a very good community team and a marketing team to understand my community before going to find a network for these people, and which I thought that we are doing a very good job in that. So we do it the other way around. Every center is a bit different because every center is made up of different community of people. Some probably very blockchain focused, some very creative marketing focused, some digital focused, fintech focused. So a lot of centers all throughout JustCo has a different type of focus. So what my community job is to make sure that they know the profile of my clients, and then they will, through that, try to find whatever help they can contribute to the community of that particular center. And that's when different centers can connect to each other after knowing the profile of the clients of the center. So we thought that to understand the profile of the clients that we have is very important. Rather than just say, we're going to have this big name, that big name. Even today, I bring you a very big name. If it doesn't help your business, it doesn't help your business. Okay, so basically what Thrive Lab do is a government subsidies accelerator or what?
Accelerator.
Yeah,
VC,
something like that. Yeah. So basically, the government grant them a pool of money. So Singapore government granted a pool of money, so they could give the money to the selected startup company. So they become the company that people go for consultancy, or they select those that are good enough startup to receive the grants. And we provide the space, and we provide the type of network of startups that we have to thrive. At this moment, no.
At this moment.
At this
Okay,
moment, no.
we'll just-
Yeah, we'll
you
just
raise
grab
the
it.
whole-
At this moment, also, it's not a very good thing to say.
Okay.
Yeah, at this moment, as I say, I really need to understand more on startups, how startups
In Korea.
behave here, so that I can really contribute to them.
That's right.
If not, I bring a thrive here, it won't work as well. JustCo welcomes all startups in Korea, and let's make work better together. 감사합니다.